right. So I'm actually going to suggest that we start sitting today. So you're probably already sitting, but you might want to go and make your way onto your mat. You can always lie down if that's better for you. You could sit on a chair. You could sit on a blanket. Or if you'd rather lie down, you could lie down. But just find a way to be comfortable. And if you're sitting, take a moment and see if you can feel your sitting bones. You might kind of rock a little bit side to side so that you can actually feel them. And then imagine that you're sending roots down from your sitting bones. You can almost press down with your sitting bones as an invitation to maybe sit up a little more upright. And as you sit upright, just bring your awareness to the feeling of your spine. There's that little inward curve in your low back. There's more of an outward curve where your ribs attach. And then, of course, there's that inward curve of your neck, which is the continuation of your spine. And as we think about sitting up tall, we often lift the chin. But let's kind of let the chin slightly lower and think maybe about lengthening up through the back of the head so that the back of the neck is nice and long. So once we're sitting grounded and upright, let's take a breath in. And as we exhale, you might close your eyes if that's comfortable and really just let the breath release all the way out of you. So let's take a little time here to just connect with our breathing. Feeling the breath expanding in all directions. And then letting the breath empty all the way out. Noticing how it feels to breathe deeply. Feel the movement of the air expanding into your lungs, expanding into your ribs, expanding in the front, sides, back of your body. And notice the feeling of letting the breath empty all the way out. This practice of paying attention to our breath helps us to cultivate mindfulness, mindful awareness in the present moment. Just focusing on the feeling of our breathing. And then as we continue to breathe deeply, let your awareness expand to the feeling of your body. Feeling of your arms and legs, feeling of your central body, feeling of your neck, muscles in your head. So just evaluate the feeling of your physical body. And whatever you notice in your awareness, can you hold whatever you're noticing with an attitude of love and acceptance rather than judging it harshly? So if you're noticing that you're tight or you're stiff or you're sore or something like that, just recognize that feeling with empathy and compassion. And as we continue to breathe deeply, check in with how you're feeling mentally, emotionally this morning. And similarly, however you're feeling, hold that awareness with an attitude of love and acceptance. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. It's valid. Our feelings are our feelings. And can we welcome them in rather than pushing them away? And then with this awareness of how we're feeling, consider what you're needing this morning. We all have needs. Is there something that you're needing? Sometimes it's just attention. You just need to listen to yourself. Sometimes it's that kindness and compassion that we need, or forgiveness or acceptance. Sometimes there's something else that we need. If there's something that's really, that you're aware of that you're needing now, you might set that as your intention for this morning's practice, to offer that to yourself. Whatever that is, that kindness, patience, generosity, forgiveness, or something else. Pick one thing and breathe it in. And see if you can infuse that into your practice this morning. All right, you can go ahead and open your eyes if they are closed, and we'll just make our way to lying down on our backs. And if you like a blanket under your head, you can have a blanket under your head. Let's just hug the knees in, kind of sway a little bit. And then lift the legs up in the air, relaxing the arms. We'll just loosen up the legs a little bit by flexing and pointing and circling at the ankles and circling the other way. Bend your knees, grab onto them and just draw the knees apart as you breathe in. Open up and exhale as your knees go back in. And then release your feet to the floor. All right, so we're gonna take the blanket out from under the head. If you had it there, clasp your hands beneath your head to hold your head a little bit off the floor. So the weight of your head is in your hands, your elbows are out wide. Take a breath in. As we exhale, we're gonna try to pull the lower ribs down into the belly and let that action lift the head, neck, and shoulders. Once you're up, it's just the back of your lower ribs on the floor. Shoulder blades lifted if possible. And then inhale and release back. So exhale, draw your lower ribs into your belly, lift your head, neck, and shoulders, and then inhale and release back. Again, exhale, curl up, activate the upper abdominals to lift you up, and then inhale back. And one more time like that. Just firing up the upper abdominals here, and inhale back. Now as we curl up, we're going to lift the feet off the floor and bring the knees in. And as you inhale the head back, just lightly tap your big toe. Exhale, curl up, bring your knees in. Maybe lift your hips a little. Inhale, release back. Exhale, curl up. We're trying not to pull on the head here. We're trying to draw the lower ribs in to lift the head, neck, and shoulders rather than pulling with the hands. Couple more like this, curling up and tapping the toes. One more time like this. And then release your feet, release your head onto your hands. Take a little break. Take a breath. Then again, starting with your head a little bit off the floor. Take a breath in. This time as we exhale and curl up head, neck, and shoulders, let's bring the one knee in toward the nose. And then come across, take that elbow towards that knee. And then extend that leg out as you inhale back. So we're going to bring the knee in and twist across, and then extend that leg as we inhale back. Curl up and twist across, extend that leg as you inhale back. So as you twist across, you can think about elbow to knee, Could you, on this next time, think about bringing that opposite rib towards that opposite thigh. So you're working more centrally rather than the arm twisting across, the midsection is twisting across. So a couple more like this. Bring that opposite rib towards the opposite thigh as you come up and twist across. One more time like that. And then let's release that foot. Your head can rest on your hands on the floor for another little break. And then we'll lift the head up again, weight of the head in the hands. Take a breath in. As we exhale and curl up, we're gonna bring the other knee in. And then we'll bring the opposite elbow towards that knee. And then we'll extend that leg as we inhale back. So we're coming up and twisting across and extending the leg and inhaling back. So you can think about elbow to knee, but could you think about taking that opposite rib cage towards the opposite thigh? So you're twisting right rib cage towards the left thigh, unless you're doing the other side. Then you're doing left rib cage towards right thigh. So let's do a few more of these. Exhaling as you come up and across, inhaling as you go back. You can go at your own pace. We'll do a few more of these. Just waking up the obliques, the upper and lower abdominals here. Last one, and then release your foot down. Let's roll to the side facing the computer. And you can have your head supported by your bottom arm, or you can put a blanket or a pillow under your head. We're gonna bend the knees, stack the feet. We'll place our top hand on our hip. Let's lift the top leg so it's about the height of the hip. And we're gonna extend the heel forward, really push out through your heel. Keeping the leg at the height of the hip, we're just gonna swing it straight. And then we'll point the toe and take it slightly behind. Try not to roll back as you do that. Keep your hip to shoulder steady. And then we'll hug that knee in, extend that heel forward, swing the leg straight, point the toe and take it a little bit behind. Bend the knee, bring it forward, press out through your heel, swing the leg straight, point and take it behind. We'll do a few more like that. Pressing the heel forward, swinging the leg straight, pointing back. Just starting to warm up the muscles of the hip here. Swing the leg straight, point and take it back. Knee comes in, heel goes out. Swing the leg and take it back. One more like this. Heel goes forward, swing the leg straight, and extend behind. All right, coming to that bent knee, I want you to drop the knee down in front of the other knee, lift the knee up, and then drop the heel behind the other heel. So we're just bringing the knee down in front and bringing the heel behind. Knee comes down in front, heel goes behind. Just working the muscles of the hip here. Internally rotating, externally rotating. Tapping the knee, tapping the heel. A couple more like that. Knee comes down, heel comes down, and last one. And then we'll let that knee rest on the other knee. Let's push ourselves up and we'll swing around to do the other side. So again, weight of your head on a pillow or on your bottom arm. Knees are stacked, kind of on a right angle. Top hand on your hip. Lift that top knee to about the height of your hip and then extend that heel forward, flexing your foot. Swing that leg straight and then point the toe and take it behind. Bring the knee in, press the heel forward. Try to keep it the height of the hip as you swing the leg straight. Point and extend that hip back a little bit. Bend the knee, bring the heel forward, swing the leg straight, point and extend behind. Couple more like that. Hip flexion here, and then hip extension, pointing the toe. Two more. Flex, straight, extend back, keeping the upper body steady here. Swing it straight, point back. All right, let's take that bent knee, and we're gonna drop the knee in front of the other knee, lift the knee up, drop the heel by the back heel. Lift the knee up, drop it in front of the knee, lift the knee up, drop the heel back. Trying to keep the pelvis fairly steady here. So we're not leaning forward, we're not leaning back. We're just moving the leg. Knee comes up, drops down in front, knee comes up, and drops behind. Let's do 2 more. Knee comes down, and heel comes down. Last one. Knee comes down. Nice work. All right, you can rest that leg. Let's push ourselves up and make our way to all fours. You can cushion your knees if you like. We will have the weight on one knee. We won't be here super long. So hands, wrists beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. If your hands give you some trouble, you can cushion your hands with a blanket as well. I want you to take one leg and press back through your heel. And really fire up the leg, push strongly through your heel, pull your toes down. And just think about getting nice and long from your heel to your crown. Put a little tone in your belly so you're not dropping your belly down or arching your low back. It's in a neutral position. And then with that leg fired up, pressing out behind you, we're just going to bend the elbows and do a little bit of a push up here. You might come partway down. You might bring your nose to the floor. You decide, but you're going to keep that leg strong as you warm up the chest and shoulders with little push-ups here. So maybe you come partway down and come back up. Maybe you bring your nose to the floor. You're still pressing out through your heel. We'll just do 2 more push-ups here. Coming down and back up, keeping that leg strong. Come down and back up. Nice job. Bring that knee down. Of course, if kneeling doesn't work for you, you're standing here with your hands on a chair. Let's take the other leg back. Press out through your heel, pull your toes to the floor. Fire up that strong leg. You couldn't engage it anymore. You're really pushing strongly out through the heel. A little tone in the belly now. And again, push-ups. You might just come partway down. We're just waking up the muscles of the chest, the arms, the shoulders, as we try to, at the same time, keep that leg strong and engaged. Let's do 2 more push-ups here. Coming down and pushing up and coming down. Nice job. Bring the knee back down. We'll sit back into child's pose now. Rounding over the legs. You can have your arms out in front, your forehead to the floor. You could have your forehead resting on your bent arms. You could have your arms at your side if that's better for you. Check in here with your intention. What are you offering yourself this morning? How's that going? And take 1 more deep breath in and out. Then with your next inhale, lift your head up, reach your arms way out in front. Let's make our way up to downward facing dog. Push your hands down. Don't let all the weight be in the heel of your hands. Press your thumbs, your index fingers, all your fingers down. Bend your knees a bit to draw the hips way up and back. Release the head. Shake your head a little yes, a little no. Let's pedal the heels, bending one knee and pressing the other heel back and down. Get that length in the calf and ankle here. Let's bend both knees a bit and take the hips way up and back. Take a deep breath in and out. We'll walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering the heels down, ending up folded over, bent knees, ragdoll position here. From here, let's draw the belly in and roll ourselves up, bending the spine. Kind of loosen up as we unfurl slowly, gradually, incrementally, stacking our vertebrae. Eventually the head comes up. Take your arms, reach them out. Inhale and reach them up. Lengthen, maybe lift the sternum a bit. And then exhale, releasing your arms down. Great, let's turn this way. And we'll do just a little bit of sumo. So Heels a little wider than hips, toes turned out. We're going to take the hips back and take the knees forward. As your knees bend forward, can you stick your butt back? So it's kind of two movements, but then do it at the same time. Knees forward and hips back. Yeah. And then come back up. And then knees forward, hips back. And then come back up. Knees forward, hips back. Let's stay down here now. And we're going to lift our heels up real high. And it takes some control here to hold the heels up high. There's some balance. And there's all kind of muscles firing up along the inner line of the legs. Let's work the arches of the feet a little bit, lowering the heels slowly for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2. Let your heels touch and lift them up high again. And slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2. One more time. Heels touch and then lift them up real high. And slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2. Touch your heels down and then lift them just slightly off the mat, really close to the mat, and then straighten your legs with your heels slightly lifted. Lower your heels. Again, hips back, knees forward. Lift your heels slightly with your heels close to the floor. Straighten your legs. And then lower your heels down. Great. All right, if you have a cushion for your knees, I want you to put it next to your mat so that it's available momentarily. If you don't need any cushion to be on one knee for a while, then that's fine. And then make your way to the front of your mat. So as we're here, let's think about grounding down through the feet to stand tall. Let's reach the arms out. And as we breathe in, inhale, lift up. Lift your ribs, lift your chest, lift your shoulders. And then swan dive forward. Take your time to fold over, dropping into this right dog. Take a big breath into your upper back. As you exhale, extend your spine. You might have fingertips on the floor or hands on the shins. Do that again. Inhale and fold over. And then exhale and extend. Think about extending right between your shoulder blades if you can, not just jutting your chin forward. One more time. Inhale into your upper back. Exhale and extend forward. All right, let's bring your hands to the floor and walk our feet back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here, drawing those hips up and back. We'll exhale to straight arm plank, pushing the floor away, lowering the hips so that there's a nice line. Hips and ankles and shoulders are all aligned. Your ears could be in that alignment too. Your hips could be slightly higher, but we definitely don't want them lower. All right, strong here. Let's pull the hips up and back to down dog, taking a breath. And then drop again to that nice, strong, supported straight arm plank position. We're going to try a little bend in the elbows. If it's better for you to drop to knees first, feel free to do that. Or your knees could be up. We're going to bend the elbows just a bit. Elbows pointing back towards the toes. Try to maintain that alignment. Don't drop your head or drop your hips. Take another breath. And then we'll lower down. You could drop to knees and we'll lower onto chest. Slide the heels of your hands back by your low ribs. Let your chest sink into the floor. Your nose can graze the mat. Then lift your chin and your nose up so you're looking straight down. Crown of the head extends forward like a shell, like a turtle taking its head out of its shell. And you stretch your head forward as you reach back through your toes. Press the heels of your hands back a bit as you inhale and lift your heart up. Bring your sternum forward, lift your chest up. Draw your elbows in just a bit. And then lower back down. Hover close to the floor. Again, inhale, lift up to baby cobra. And then lift your hands a little bit off the mat. And then hug your elbows in. Can you lift your elbows a little higher as you hug your elbows in and take a breath? And then release your hands, release your chest. One more time. Inhale up to baby cobra. Keep your hands down. You could stay here or press up to cobra. A little higher here. And then exhale back down. Let's make our way up to plank and then back to downward facing dog. We'll breathe in and out here. This time we'll look forward and walk our feet up toward our hands, planting feet beneath us. And let's reverse Swan-Dive. We'll sweep our arms out, inhale and rise up, reach up. And exhale, arms down at our side. We'll do that again. Inhale, arms reaching out and up. Exhale, Swan-Dive forward. Bringing hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here as you pull your hips up and back. Exhale to straight arm plank. Take a breath here. Exhale, a little bend in your elbows. Take a breath here. Exhale and lower all the way down. Find your prone mountain. And then inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. And exhale back down. Make your way up to plank. And back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Look forward, walk your feet up, plant your feet beneath you. Again, sweep your arms out, inhale and rise up. Exhale, arms down at your side. One more time like that. Root down, inhale and reach out and up. Breathe, stretch. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hands to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Big breath here. Exhale, straight arm plank. Inhale here. Exhale, a little bend in your elbows. Another breath here. Exhale, lower all the way down to prone mountain. From here, inhale to baby cobra or cobra. And exhale back down. This time, we're going to push back to knees. And I want you to kneel on a blanket, unless you have quite a bit of cushion, or a pillow, or just a way to cushion one knee. So we're up on both knees. We're going to step one foot out in front and get that heel either right under the knee or a little forward of the knee. We don't want it behind the knee, more out in front. And you're on a railroad track. You're not on a balance beam. There's a little more distance between from your knee and your other knee, about as wide as your hips. So now just take the weight onto the front foot and let the front knee bend so that the back hip starts to sink down. Now this might kind of drop tension into your low back, so keep some tone in your belly as you do this. All right, and then push back. So now let's push weight, press the bottom knee and shin into the blanket to fire up this muscle and maybe straighten up a little bit, and then bend the front knee forward. So it's a more active stretch into this quad here, and push back. Again, push the knee and the shin down as the weight goes forward as you drop into this hip extension here. So we're gonna stay here now. You're still pressing weight into the back knee and shin. You're feeling this muscle lengthen as it's engaging, feeling that stretch into the hip flexor. Take that same arm now and reach it up. As the knee presses down, lift the shoulder and the rib. So you're stretching into that psoas muscle here. Now you might add the other arm reaching up as well, taking one more big breath. And then we're going to bring fingertips down. So this might allow you to sink a little lower, and this might be a place for you. You can always go back to here. If you want to go deeper into stretching your quad, your thigh muscle, you can lift your back lower leg up. You could just have a flexed foot here, or you might reach back and grab onto the top of that foot. If you can grab the foot, press the foot into your hands to create that activation in the quad muscle, and you might lift your other arm up. We'll take a breath here. And then you can release. Let's push the weight onto the back knee, and we're going to change legs. I think I'm going to face you for this one. So we're going to step the other foot out in front, get that heel either under the knee or forward of the knee, and you have this distance, hip distance in your legs, and then you're going to let the weight sink into that front foot as you bend the front knee, and then you're going to push the weight back. So can you push the back knee and shin down into the blanket as you bend the front knee forward? So there's action in this thigh. Little tone in the belly to support the low back, and then push the weight back. Again, press the back knee and shin down as you bring the weight onto that front foot, bending into that knee. How's that stretch feel? So as you're pressing the back knee down, reach that same arm up and lift up. We want to stretch and lift from that back knee all the way through this muscle and lengthen out through the fingertips. Take a breath. All right, you could add the other arm if you like. Take another big breath as you reach up. And then we'll bring the hands down onto the floor. And this might be plenty to just be here. Or you might feel like you're better off going back to here. Or you can bend the back knee, and as you bend the back knee, you could just have the heel up, or you could reach back and grab the top of that foot, push the foot into your hands, your other arm might reach up, big stretch into that front thigh muscle, your quadricep. Take a breath, and then release. Push the weight back. You can come onto both knees. And let's sit back into child's pose. So just sit back on your heels, round over your legs, drop into child's pose. Check in and breathe. How are you feeling now? And are you still needing the same thing that you were offering yourself? Because you could change your intention as you go through if you realize that actually you might be needing a little more of something else. We're trying to offer ourselves what we need here this morning. What do we need? Breathe it in. And maybe when you use your breath, what you need more of is to let go of something. So you can always use your exhale as a chance to release something that's hard for you, that's bothering you, that's difficult. Just see if your exhale can be a releasing and a letting go. One more breath. All right, lift your head up, reach your arms out. Let's make our way up to downward facing dog. And breathe in and out here. Now, if you had that blanket there, just slide it off to the side. And then let's walk our hands back towards our feet again. Fold it over like a rag doll. We'll bend the knees and lower the hips. We'll bring our hands to heart. Hips stay low, chest lifts up. We're sitting back in a chair. We can reach the arms forward as we sit back a little more. And then let's lift the arms up, push into the feet and legs. Inhale and rise up, reach up. And exhale, arms down at our side. All right, let's turn this way. We'll take a wide stance. So from this wide stance, we'll turn the left foot in, turn the right foot out. So get your feet solidly planted. I always have to kind of move them around to feel my weight evenly balanced, especially on this back foot. Spread out the weight, so it's not all on the inner edge, it's not all on the outer edge. It's just evenly spread out. And then let's bend the front knee. Bending that knee, legs are wide enough that the knee ends up over the heel. ish. And then lift your heel up on this front leg. It doesn't have to be a high lift, but just lift it off the floor. And then feel as though you're pulling that heel back towards your midline. That heel is hugging back towards your midline. Yeah, it really creates a very dynamic action in this front leg. Take a breath. We're going to let the heel release down. Now, can you feel as though both legs are hugging in towards the midline? So you're hugging in the inner line of the back leg and all along the inner line of the front leg. You're hugging in. Again, really changes the experience of being here. So with this action of hugging the legs in, with your hands on your hips, tip your hips over. Can you keep that hugging in sensation even as you tip over? It's challenging. Take your top arm forward and just open up. And as you're here, you're hugging in action of the legs. You could have your gaze forward, you could look up at your hand, you could look down at the floor, whatever you choose. Keep hugging those legs in for one more breath. And then we're gonna reach up and straighten the leg. Now I want us to turn all the way towards the short end of the mat. So we're coming into a lunge. And if we can, we're gonna lift the back heel up. If you need to have a wall or a chair to hold on to, fine. If you need to put your heel down, you can. But if you can have that heel up, now you're facing the short end of your mat. If you feel like you're on a balance beam, widen your stance about as wide as your hips. Bend your front knee now and bend your back knee. Let your back knee go down. And as your back knee goes down, lift your heart up. So here's that same big stretch into the hip flexor here, into the quad. Now push and straighten both legs. And then bend both knees. Push and straighten both legs. And then bend both knees. Couple more. Push and straighten. And then bend. Push and straighten. And then bend. So from this bent position, I want you to lean forward and you can straighten your back leg. Bring your hands to heart now. You can stay here just like this, or if you want to try a balance, you could step the back foot in a little bit, try and straighten your standing leg, try and lift your back leg up into a balancing warrior. Hinging forward from the hips, getting as long as you can from heel to crown. We'll take a breath here, and then bend the standing leg, step the back foot down. Straighten your front leg, turn towards the computer. We'll do that all on the other side. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out, hands on hips. Get this back foot solid, and then bend your front knee. Once you've got that front knee bent, we're gonna lift that heel up a little bit off the floor, and then feel as though you're hugging that heel or pulling that heel back towards your midline. Really working on the inner back line of that leg. Take a breath, and then release that heel down. Now, with the heel down, you're gonna hug this leg in. You're also gonna hug the back leg in. Hug both legs in. Work the inner line of both legs. Then hands on hips. While you're hugging in, tip your hips over. Drop the bottom arm on the bottom leg, and keep hugging in. Take your top arm forward. Inhale that arm up. Keep hugging in. Head can look up, forward, or down, whatever you prefer. Keep hugging in for one more deep breath in and out. Great. Then with your next inhale, rise up. All right, again, we're going to turn towards the short end of the mat, coming into a lunge position. Your feet are on, they're not narrow, they're as wide as your hips. If you can lift the back heel, lift it up. If you need something to hold on to, grab something to hold on to. Bend your front knee forward. Bend your back knee down. Feel that stretch in the front of that thigh. Shoulders are over hips now. Straighten both legs and breathe in. And then bend both knees. Breathe out. Push and straighten. And then bend. Few more of these. Solidly rooted on that front foot. We're getting strength and mobility here. Down and up one more time. And then we're going to bend down. And then we're going to lean forward so the back leg will straighten. Bring your hands to heart. You could just stay here in a lunge. Or could you bring your weight onto that front foot, straighten that front leg, lift the back leg up, hinging forward into a balancing warrior. Getting as long as you can from heel to crown, pressing out through the back heel. Take a breath. And then bend your standing leg, step your back foot down, straighten up, turn your feet forward. We'll walk our feet together. Nice work. All right, so here's where you're going to need a chair. We're going to make our way to the floor, and you're going to want to have a chair kind of off the end of your mat. But initially, we're not going to use the chair right away. Initially, I want you to just come down onto your back and set up for bridge pose. So nothing under your head, feet hip distance apart, heels in fairly close, arms at your side. As you're here, we all have a natural curve in our low back, some amount of little curve in our low back. And then we have where our ribs attach to our spine. So those lower ribs, can you kind of feel them kind of dropping into the floor? And with your lower ribs on the floor, start to peel your sacrum off the floor and start to peel your lower vertebrae, your lumbar vertebrae up until you reach the point where your low ribs are still down, but your lower spine is lifted. Take a breath and then release out of that until you find your sacrum on the floor, and then let everything relax. We're going to do that again, just a lumbar spine lift. So low ribs are down, you lift your sacrum, you start to lift those lumbar vertebrae, you have 5 of them, and then you reach your thoracic spine where your ribs attach. You just come up that high, take a breath, and then we'll lower down again. So many people have a lot of stiffness in our lumbar spines, so this is just to address that. This time we'll start the same way, starting by lifting the sacrum, lifting those lumbar vertebrae. We get to where the low ribs are still down, and then let's come up higher. Let's start to roll up, lifting each thoracic vertebra until you bring your weight up onto your shoulders. At this point, knees and shins are pressing forward, hips come up nice and high. We'll take a breath. And then let's slowly, gradually roll down. Nice spinal articulation. Working a little bit on spinal mobility there. Once you're down, relax. So now you might roll to your side and push up. Now we're going to use the chair. So you might have to get a little closer to your chair. You're going to want to have your heels on the chair and your knees are probably a little forward of your hips rather than your knees right over your hips. Your knees are a little forward of your hips. And you've got your heels on the chair. So it's going to be a similar motion, but we're going to be trying to activate the hamstrings now more than we're worrying about the spinal articulation. I want you to have your heels about as wide as your hips. Press your heels down and lift your hips up. And then lower back down. So you're going to notice, we're going to keep doing this. You're going to notice, I believe, that your hamstrings are working. Those muscles in the backs of your thighs. We're going to lift up and we're going to lower down. Your heels are pressing into the chair. Lift the hips up and lower the hips down. As your hips come up, at the top you can squeeze your glutes together. That's going to kind of naturally happen. They're going to be, the hamstrings are the lifters and then the glutes. They're going to work together. Lifting up and lowering down. So hopefully you're feeling that contraction in the back of the thighs and into the seat muscles. Lifting up and lowering down. Lifting up and lowering down. All right, take a little break. You can just let your calves maybe relax in the chair or whatever. You could hug your knees in. Let those muscles relax. Now, go back to where you were. Your feet are hip distance apart, but let your knees drop a little open. And do the same thing. Lift your hips up and lower your hips down. So you're going to notice that the outer hamstrings are going to fire a little bit more now. With your knees dropped a little bit open, you're going to work the outer line of the legs here. And lower down, lifting up and lowering down. We'll do a few more. Lifting up and lowering down and lifting up. Your knees are still wide. Let's do one more. Lifting up, lowering down. Just let it relax, whatever that means for you. Shake it out, hug your knees, relax your legs, whatever. Take a breath. The final variation, you're going to put your heels down again. So right now your heels and your knees are aligned. Could you take your heels, I don't know if your chair is wide enough, take your heels slightly wider than your knees and let your knees slightly be closer than hip distance. And your knees, I don't know if you want your knees to touch, but have them in towards each other. Your heels wider than your knees. And then do the same thing. And you're going to notice that the inner line of the hamstrings is going to fire a little bit more. So you don't want a huge angle of your knees. You just want your heels maybe slightly wider than your hips and your knees slightly narrower than your hips. That's all it's going to take to get those inner hamstrings to work. So we're lifting up and lowering down and lifting up and lowering down. A few more of these. Up and down and up and down. Nice job. All right. Let's hug the knees in. Sway a little bit. And then roll till you're facing the camera and push yourself up. All right, we're gonna sit and we're gonna sit, I think, cross-legged. If you wanna sit up on a blanket so that you can have a little more ability to feel like your spine is supported or that your hips are supported or whatever. A lot of us are going to be more comfortable if we sit up on something. Or you could even do this sitting in a chair if this position doesn't work well for your body. So just like when we started, root your sitting bones down to feel the line of your spine as you sit up tall. When you sit up tall, just drop the chin a little bit and lengthen through the back of the head. Let's take one hand behind, take the other arm across. Feel the line of your spine as you breathe in. And then twist in the direction of the arm that's behind you. Twist around. Ribs, chest, shoulders, spiraling in the direction of the arm that's behind you. But as you spiral around in that direction, take that same hip bone and draw it back towards your midline. So your pelvis is kind of staying stable as your upper body rotates around. And then take a deep breath in and out. Let the breath release and empty. Do that one more time. Deep breath in and out. And then we'll release back around to the front. Root down, feel the line of your spine. Take your other arm behind, your other arm across. Feel the line of your spine. I mean, we don't want to veer off that line. We don't want to veer to the side. We don't want to veer back. We want to feel that upright line of the spine. Take a breath in and then spiral around that line. Ribs, chest, shoulders, spiraling around towards that arm that's behind you. And then that same hip bone, draw it back towards your midline to stabilize your pelvis. And then let that upper body spiral back towards the back hand. And then deep breath in and out. Do that again. Nice full deep breath in and out. Your exhale can be letting go. Releasing. Let's release back around. Face forward. We're going to make our way onto our backs now, and we are going to use that strap. So go ahead and make your way onto your back. If you like a blanket under your head, that is a perfectly good time for that. So as you lie back down, we're going to take the strap, we're going to place it around the ball of the right foot. And as you have it on the ball, not the arch of your foot, not the heel, but the ball of the foot, grab it with two hands. And then straighten your other leg out on the floor. Bounce that leg a few times and let that bottom leg feel very heavy and loose. Then your leg that's up in the air, let the leg fall away from you until your leg can be straight. So for some, it's going to be, further out. Once your leg is straight, then explore. If you bring the leg more towards the ceiling, at some point your knee starts to bend. And when you get to that point, just go a little bit back to the point where your leg can be straight. So once you've found that point, then I want you to pull down on the strap at the same time that you're pushing your foot up into the strap. So you're pointing your foot up into the strap with resistance. And then with your hands, pull down and flex the foot. And then push your foot up into the strap and you're pulling down on the strap. And then we're going to pull down on the strap and kind of resist that with your foot. So it's hard to pull your foot into a flexed position. So you're pushing up with resistance into a pointed foot, and you're pulling down with resistance to flex your foot. Let's do that one more time. Push up with resistance to point the foot, pull down and resist that pulling down. Great. Put the two parts of the strap in your right hand, drop your left arm out to your side. As you're pushing your foot up into the strap, begin to take that leg out to the side. And see how far you can go with that leg and still keep the left leg that's on the ground grounded. Keep that left hip from lifting up. So just opening that leg out to the side with a little action of pushing into the strap. See how far you can go. When you get to your edge, pause there and take a breath. And then bring the leg back up. You're pushing the foot into the strap the whole time. Great. Reach up and grab the strap, open it up with your two hands. Slide the other leg up. Bring that left foot into the strap. Put it on the ball of the foot. Release your right foot down. Slide your right leg out straight. So again, you're going to take the leg away until it's straight. And then start to pull it up toward the ceiling, just to the point where if you go any further, your knee bends. And then back off till your leg is straight. And then push your foot up into the strap, trying to point your toe, but you're pulling down so it's hard. And then pull down to flex the foot, but resist with the strength of your ankle. So push up with resistance, and then pull down with resistance. And do that a few more times. Push up with resistance, pull down with resistance. So you're stretching into the back of that leg while you're creating action in the leg. Active stretch. Great. Put the two parts of the strap in your left hand, drop your right arm out to your side. As you're pushing your foot into the strap, start to open that leg out. At some point as your leg opens to the side, you're probably going to lose the grounding in your right hip, right leg. So just go to that edge. Push your foot into the strap and then bring the leg back up. Great. Okay. You have your leg that's up in the air. Bend the other leg and place that foot on the floor. Bend the top leg and drop the ankle just on top of the bottom bent knee, and then take the strap off. Set it off to the side. Lift the bottom leg up. You can reach through and grab onto the back of the right thigh. Hug in. Get a stretch into that outer hip. You might sway your knees a little bit to one side and take a breath. You might sway back to the center or slightly to the other side, taking a breath. Bring your legs back center, hug them in nice and close, take a breath. And then release that thigh, release the bottom foot, Release the top foot and then change legs. Drop your other ankle above the bottom bent knee. Lift that bottom foot off the floor. Reach through, grab the back of the thigh. You also can do this without holding the thigh. You can just use the strength of your legs hugging in. You might take the legs slightly to one side and take a breath. And you might take them slightly the other way. Not a big movement. You might just be hugging in close. Take one more breath. And then release. Bottom foot, top foot. Nice work. All right, we're going to move into our final relaxation. So give yourself permission to take a moment or two to set yourself up to be comfortable. That could be putting something under your head, putting a bolster under your knees, putting on a layer, whatever would allow you to be most comfortable. You could transition to your bed if you're in your bedroom, wherever allows you to be able to relax. And then as you lie back, we're going to let go of all instruction now. We're going to let go of the need to be any particular way. We're going to let go of doing, pushing, striving, needing to be, shoulding. And just allow ourselves to be however we are. Inviting the body and then the mind to just relax. Release, melt, soften, unclench, smooth, open. However you land is just fine. Let yourself be as you are. And rest here. as you continue to lie back, perhaps beginning to transition a little bit, I'll share a reading from Lynn Ungar. She says, center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands, reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. That was titled Pandemic. That's why she said, don't reach out with your hands. You know, we're not really touching each other as much now, but we can reach out with our hearts and our words and our intentions. So you're welcome to just stay lying back. If you want to transition back out of your Shavasana, you can do so. If you want to come back and check in, you can. If you need to go, you can go. It's lovely to be with all of you this morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day.